Ordinary Average Guy Podcast Show, yeah. Hey everybody, it's the Ordinary Average Guy Podcast Show coming at you previously recorded from the Buxty Hootie Studios, episode number 49, baby. How's everyone doing this week? How's everyone, is everyone ready for life to be back to normal? Maybe that's a good way to put it. If you don't know, if you're a first-time listener, I am a resident of the great Northeast Wisconsin, and this past weekend we had the NFL draft. I don't know. Maybe you didn't know that. Maybe you did not. Maybe you were under a rock for the last year, 2 years. But yes, the NFL draft came to Green Bay, Wisconsin, and it just seemed crazy. I guess I did not attend. And I'm looking back on that decision, and I'm wondering if that was a terrible decision. I'm curious. You know, there was a day, and I don't know. See, I suffer from what's the FOMO. FOMO. Okay, I am a raging FOMO. If there were parades for FOMOs, I would be the Grand Marshal, okay? If there were flags for FOMOs, I would be waving that in my front yard. I am about as FOMO as you get. And what's weird is that, you know, a lot of people that I know went to the NFL draft. Now, I will say, did I get an invite from any of them? No invites. And so there is that. But I don't know, I think it would have been cool, but I don't know what it is. There was over, can you imagine that there was over 600,000 people that were in Ashwaubenon, technically, and at that draft, which, by the way, blew. I think I read somewhere that it doubled the expectation, the turnout expectation, and more than doubled it. So they thought, how that works mathematically is they assumed there would be 300,000, but there ended up being 600,000. That's how math works. And it was the second highest attendance ever for an NFL draft, second behind Detroit, apparently. Now, what makes that so incredible is because for my whole life, all we ever heard was about how Green Bay, you can't you can't have events like that. There's none of hotels. There's none of anything. It's too small. You can't do it. And there you go. We knocked it out of the park. And I'm actually going to a talk in a couple of weeks at Lambeau. I believe it's at Lambeau, and they're going to talk about the aftermath of the draft. Talk about the event and everything like that. And I'm very interested to hear that and see the revenue, how good it did for the economy, and everything like that. But I am curious as how they pulled it off, because how many people live in Green Bay, Wisconsin? I think it's only like I got a computer right here in my pocket. Let's just check it out. What's my password, man? Face ID. There you go. Face ID coming through clutch, baby. Green Bay metro population. So you want to do metro. Okay, here's a little tip for you. Whenever you're doing population of a city, for example, I do quite a bit. I do, how big is Milwaukee? How big is Madison? Sometimes I'm curious as how we compare to the other snobs in America. And when you do like the population in Milwaukee, it's the number is a lot less than you would think. But then you type the word metro in there. See, the Green Bay metropolitan area has a population of approximately 334,697 as of 2024. So but now look at this. Green Bay itself, the city of Green Bay, has a population of 105,744. So that's why, because when you look at Green Bay. Now, one thing I never understood is New York City. So you look at Green Bay, Wisconsin, right? If you have Ashwaubenon, you have De Pere, you have Howard, you have a bunch of them, a bunch of those. I apologize if I didn't say your name, but you have all these little suburbs, I guess, if you will, from off of Green Bay, right? And the same thing is true in the Fox Valley. You have all these little cities, and they're all touching each other. So why aren't they just like one big city? And the reason I ask that is because when you go to New York City, New York. Hey, do I like pizza over here in New York City, eh? You like pizza? Hey, yeah, how you doing, From New York City, Brooklyn, go Yankees, yeah. Those guys. You have the Bronx, which I always thought was a cool name of. So those are all called boroughs, okay? You have the Bronx, which I always thought was a cool name because it starts with the. Any other city that starts with the word the, I don't think there is any. There is none, especially in the lower 48. There is no city that I can think of that starts with the word the. And that's why I always thought it was cool. But the Bronx, it's not Bronx, it's the Bronx. I swear to God, that's what it's called. I'm pretty sure it's called the Bronx. The Bronx. Sure enough, the Bronx is a borough of New York City. Is known for Yankee Stadium, the home field for the New York Yankees baseball team. Hey, how you doing? Is it called Bronx or the Bronx? The official name of New York City borough is the Bronx, not just Bronx. It is referred to with the definite article the, both legally and colloquially. This is because the borough was named after the Bronx River. So isn't that something? So you got the Bronx, you got Brooklyn, right? You got Queens, right? The King of Queens. Great show. You got Staten Island over there. Take the ferry to Staten Island. And then, of course, you got Manhattan. Hey, how you doing? Manhattan. Hey. Big old swingers in Manhattan. Big money. The funny thing is, all of those are New York City. They're all New York City. And they call them boroughs. They're different areas. And then within those boroughs, there's actually, other areas within those boroughs. Like, what the, I don't know. I did not plan on talking about New York City. What the frick is the name of those little, Hell's Kitchen, right? That's in Manhattan. Times Square is another one. Where's Bob Dylan and all those goddamn hippies hang out all the time? Anyway, so why does New York City get to be this huge? Because it's such a huge city, but at the same time, it's like 5 cities actually. Right? You know what I'm saying? I don't know. Maybe I'm just being a little piss baby, but but anyway, I was surprised that I'm looking back. This draft was a once in a lifetime opportunity, as everyone says, which maybe it's not. I mean, if they doubled their expectations, this is the second highest attendance ever. why wouldn't they bring it back in a couple years? I don't know. Why wouldn't they? And I'll tell you what, if they do, I'll be there because I felt I had my FOMO was kicking in. I felt like I was kind of getting rid of my FOMO. And all of a sudden, I'm seeing Snapchats of people, and people are having fun, drinking beer, having a good old time, hooting and hollering, cheering, and then here I am sitting at home watching it on TV like an idiot. And a lot of people I talked to, they didn't really care, and I didn't think I would either. But the FOMO, I hate missing out on a good time. I hate missing out on a good time. Is anyone else like that? I remember like my whole life. Like if I go to a party, I'm not leaving first. I'm telling you that right now. I'm not leaving. I'm leaving to the very end because here's the deal. When you leave first, all right, you leave the party first, and then all of a sudden you're back at work the next day, or you're talking to the people that were at that party, right? Let's say you go to a work Christmas party, not a work Christmas party. Let's say you go to a I don't know. Let's say you're at a party, and all of a sudden you're like, I got to hit the road, and you hit the road, right? And then all of a sudden you hear after the fact that Bob in accounting was making out with Sherry from HR, right? At the bar, and they're making out, and everyone's like, "Oh, Bob and Sherry." and everyone's like, "Where were you?" And I'm like, "I went home." You missed out, man. And I got a huge fear of missing out on stuff like that, so I always make sure I stick around to the end, because when everyone's talking the next day about the stuff that happened, and you're like, I can't believe I'm if you stick around, you don't miss it. You know what I'm saying? You want to stick around, all right? At the end of the night, you want to be there. And to go one forward, you want to be there just in general. And here's the deal with the draft. I didn't show up. I didn't go. And I didn't think it would be a big deal. I was kind of, because the thing is, I don't know what the hell I am when it comes to extrovert and introvert. I assume I'm an extrovert. That's what I would think I am. But I've had people tell me that, know this stuff. They're like, actually, you have introvert. You're kind of an introvert. And I'm like, well, I don't understand how that works. You would think a guy like me who's hosting a podcast, would be an extrovert. What kind of person just sits here and talks, for the tens and tens to listen to? But then again, I'm also sitting and talking by myself in my basement, and there, so maybe that's introvert. I don't know. But when I saw the group of 600,000, I wasn't saying it wasn't 600,000 people all at once. It was like 200 or whatever. But I was like, man, it seems like a big crowd. and there wasn't time where I would have been all over that. Now, I'll be honest with you, when it comes to the big crowds, I don't know if it's my old age or what it is, but I'm not as attracted to it. Packer games in general. Now, if you're listening to this and you're like, oh, I'm going to invite J-Kenn to a Packer game, please do. Please do. I'm in. But I will say with all honesty that when it comes to going to a Packer game, I don't know if I'm at an age or what's the deal is, but I would much rather have like a Packer party at my house and invite friends over and we watch the game, with people, because I want to be around people. But going to the game, that's too many people. You understand what I'm saying? So I'm kind of in this weird, I don't know, I'm talking way too much. Long story short, I'm a raging FOMO, and and I'm kind of like maybe depressed that I missed out on this once in a lifetime opportunity. But you know what? It is what it is, right? It is what it is. I mean, what are you gonna do about it? I know that and I was watching on TV. Seth Rollins was there, wrestler. That would have been cool because I couldn't hear the crowd. So Seth Rollins came out and he's a Bears fan and he was ripping on the Packers and Lambeau Field and all that stuff, and I couldn't hear the crowd really, and Seth was doing a fantastic job on the mic, and I couldn't hear the crowd if they were really like booing him or not. It would have been cool to be there for that just because I'd have been like, screw you, you suck. I would have been doing that whole thing. But yeah, other than that, you know, Shador Sanders or so my favorite story out of the whole draft is that prank call. That's my favorite story of the whole thing. There's two sides of the story. The guy that did the prank call, right? He's a son of a coach for the Atlanta Falcons, and he got a phone. The guy's got the guy's phone number and prank called him. Especially after, because I could have swore someone. I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I'm this big sports guy or whatever. I mean, I like watching the Packers and the Bucks and the Brewers. You know, you're normal. I'm your ordinary average guy. I like the home teams. You know, I root for them. But you know, like all the, you know, like some people I know, they're all like, you know, so you go on Facebook and they're all like, "That's such a terrible pick for these reasons." Blah 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 blah. You know, and it's like, don't we have the same job? Like, if it's why aren't you making the picks? Why are you working with me? You know what I'm saying? It doesn't make any sense. But whatever, teach their own. Everyone's got their hobbies, right? Anyway, yeah, so the prank call. The only thing that would have made that better, though, is that the kid was like 21 years old. Like, you know, he's 21. You know, so it's kind of like, I don't know. I feel like you're a little past the prank call. You know, like, I don't think I could see myself doing a prank call on somebody nowadays. Probably because you can't get away with it. You know, actually, what I give that guy props. In a world where you can't really get away with a prank call because either when you call someone, they're going to have your number in their phone, or B, if you do call somebody and the number's not in their phone, there's a good chance they're not even picking up, right? How many people do you know that don't even pick up the phone unless they got the number in the phone? So that's a good. So this kid literally, I mean, put yourself in this kid's shoes. He has this golden opportunity where this Shador is sitting there looking at his phone for 2 days straight, and he's just waiting for someone to call him. It's not going to be a number he knows, and all of a sudden he gets a phone call. That's like the only opportunity in 2025 where you can really pull off a prank phone call. Please, if somebody has a way that you could pull off a prank phone call, let me know, because that's literally with caller ID and just people just not picking up in general because you don't have the number in their phone. You know, that is the only really opportunity. So I'm going to stand by that. If you want to make a prank phone call, you got to find a coach of a professional football team during draft day and call some of these guys that are slipping in the draft. That's how you do it. That's the only way you can do it. I missed out, I think, on the prank phone calls. Like, I don't, like when I would have been at the age of okay, let me go on back. It would have been even funnier, though, if this guy, instead of being 21, if he was like 14, or if he was like 13, 14 years old, and he had all his buddies over, all his 6th, 7th grade buddies, and they're like, watching the draft, eating popcorn, drinking Mountain, just going to town on Mountain Dew, and and all of a sudden they're like, Billy, is that your dad's iPad for work? And you're like, oh my God, yeah, it is. And then they see the phone number, like, Billy, call him, do it. And and it did that way. That would have been an even better story. And then Mountain Dew, they get their name out there. And Doritos, those kids are definitely eating Doritos. Do you remember back in the day, sleepovers? Oh, man. Oh, you're staying up all night long playing video games, eating Doritos, drinking Mountain Dew. You know what I mean? And you're not going to bed, dude. You're not going to bed because of the FOMO, right? You're staying up. You can't miss out on that. You go to bed, and all of a sudden you wake up the next day and you're like, dude, you missed Scott. Scott passed level 14 and you missed it because you were sleeping like a little bitch. You get the FOMO. I never, dude, I stayed up. I wasn't going to sleep. And I remember times where, like, you wouldn't. Man, I still am haunted by the time. One time, I didn't get invited to a sleepover. I think every kid's probably been there. It sucks. It sucks when you don't get invited, And then those kids are talking about it the next day at school, or Monday at school, and you're just kind of like, oh, I guess, you try not to make a big deal because you don't want to make a big deal about it. You know what I mean? You want to. That's the worst thing you can do is make a big deal about it. And it's so funny because I even see like adults, like work, right? So work, right? There's sometimes where, well, like the draft, for example. There's some people that went to the draft from work, right? I was not included. I don't know why I wasn't included. but there's, whatever. You only have so many tickets. And to be quite honest with you, I got enough shit going on anyway, so it's like, whatever. And you know what else is, after this year of healthy living, like, that's another thing that was literally in my brain, is like, do I really want to go and go to this party and just drink and eat and drink and eat? Because literally all that hard work that I put into, like, losing weight and still continuing trying to do, and it's like, do I really want to? It's that, I think, that's crazy. Like, I never would have thought that way. Never in a million years would I have thought that way. I would have been, where's the beer? I need more beer. And now it's kind of like, man, I don't know if I want to go to that because I might gain 25 pounds, and I just literally took me 52 weeks to get rid of. So that was another reason too. But what I'm getting back at is, like, even when you see adults that, like, get left out, and I mean, it's not even, and then they just kind of make these comments. Here's a tip for anyone, adults or kids. If you get left out on something, just go with the flow. Don't, because we've all been there. And I think maybe not all of us. Maybe not all of us. Probably not, actually. I'm sure there's some, the cool kids, like the legit cool kids, get invited to everything. I'm so cool, blah blah blah. Go pound sand. You know what I'm saying? But if you're like a normal average guy, that sometimes you get left out, just go with the flow, because it's like picking up chicks. If there was one thing I learned about picking up chicks, and I learned from mistakes. The only reason I know this is because I never did this, is you can't look desperate. You cannot look desperate. You ever look at the guys that are picking up chicks all the time? They legit don't. They're not, like, looking for it. You know what I mean? And that's exactly what happened when I met my wife. I shit you not. I remember I went back to school, out of all things. I went back to school, and I was doing this 2-year program, and I was a little older, And I was out on my own. I was going back to school. I was doing this whole career change thing. And I remember I was dating some, going out with some chicks, you know what I'm saying, just the normal, going out with some chicks and, showing them a good time, taking them for a spin around town, and then drop them at the corner, go on to the next one, you know what I'm saying? Anyway, I went back to school and I was like, dude, I'm done. I'm going to take 2 years off from any type of relationship. I'm just going to buckle down. I'm going to work. I'm going to go to school. I'm going to get this done with. I'm going to get some kick-ass job. And then I'll be rolling rolling in the hay, baby. And wouldn't you know it, it was like a week after I made that promise to myself is when I met my future wife. I shit you not. And really, I think the reason was because I legit didn't. I was like, whatever. I'm not looking. I'm not interested. And for some odd reason, it's like that with friends too. I feel like if you like, let's say I talk about this with my son all the time. He's 6 and he's got like this best friend, and he's like all about him. He's like, he's my best friend. Blah 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 blah. And it's like, hey man, you still got to give him some breathing room, because if you try too hard, eventually they kind of get like, oh man, this guy's kind of annoying, or if you don't get invited, because another thing too, like if you don't get invited to a thing and then you make a big deal about it, and then you get invited to the next one, in the back of your head, you're kind of like, I wonder if I'm only invited to this because I made such a big deal about it originally. You know what I mean? I know for a fact I've invited people to things only because I knew they would bitch and moan if they weren't invited. And is that a reason to invite somebody? Not really. You want to include everybody, but sometimes you just can't. And for people like me that have raging FOMO, it sucks when your number doesn't get called. You know what I'm saying? But you gotta just play it cool. You just gotta play it cool. Be like, yeah, man, whatever, And then they're talking about the stories. You're like, oh my god, I can't believe I missed when you freaking took shots out of a a boot. I don't know. I heard a story one day that a guy was taking shots out of a plunger out of a bathroom. No, it wasn't shots. He drank, I think it was a Bloody Mary. He drank a bloody... No, that can't be it. Why would you drink a Bloody Mary at nighttime? I don't know. Does people drink Bloody Marys at nighttime? I have no idea. All I know is that, I don't even know, I think I blacked out for the last 28 minutes. But I think I said some good stuff in there to take to heart. Go with the flow. Don't try too hard. There's a book, and I'm not, I will tell you this right now. I am not, unofficial, unordinary opinion. I do not like books with swear words in them. And I'm not saying that because I'm above that. God knows I like to swear too once in a while. But there's these books out there that's like how to not give a F. I think there's like a book out there, and I read it, I think one time, and how to not give a F book. Yeah. Oh, the subtle art of not giving a F, right? A person once told me, you should be classy and professional. I'm not a big fan of when you just hey, if you're writing a book, just when you come up with a title, just remember that time J-Kenn was like, you know what? I don't like the swear words in the names of the title. But anyway, but that's essentially what I'm talking about. You got to just not care. You have to care, but not care. And that's hard. That's an art. That is an art. To care, but not care. Like at work. You know what I mean? You ever look at the people that succeed at work? They almost look like they don't... how do you say that? they look like they do care, obviously, but at the same time they look, they don't look like so stressed out. They kind of, they look relaxed. They kind of give off a vibe that maybe they don't care, but they do care. And then you see the guys at work that are like freaking out all the time. You know what I mean? There or anywhere in life. I was at where the hell was I? Where you did this? There's this woman there, and she had her eyebrows raised real high. She's all like, you had her eyebrows raised high. You ever see that when these I don't like the term Karen because I know a couple of Karens, and they're very nice people. But I don't know another term. So, these Karens that have the eyebrows, and they walk around like, I wouldn't do it like that. Anyway, they don't succeed because they care too much, one could almost say. You know what I mean? I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. All I know is that you want to care. Here's the deal. You need to do your best. All right? These are words to live by. Grab a pen and write this down. You need to do your best. Okay? With whatever that is. If it's being a friend, if it's being a husband, if it's being an employee, if it's being an employer, if it's being a mistress. I don't know. Whatever your situation is. You need to do your best. After that, then you just need to let it go. And that's where the not caring part comes in. I firmly believe in my heart. Now, I'm not going to lie. There is a little bit of faith, a lot actually, faith in God and stuff like that kind of comes into play here for me personally. But I firmly believe in my heart that everything happens for a reason. I truly, truly, truly believe that everything happens for a reason. So, what am I saying? I do my best. Or, not every day. Not every day. Some days, take it easy. But I try to do my best at whatever I do. And then after that, the world just goes. And you just go along for the ride. And whatever happens, happens. You know what I mean? When you start to try to force things, when you start to force friendships, when you start to force relationships, when you try to force promotions, when you try to force that stuff, the world just doesn't like that. And there's like this, there's like this equilibrium that kind of gets out of whack. You're trying to force something that you shouldn't be doing. You know what I'm saying? Do you get what I'm going with here? Try not, I try not to just do your best with the opportunities that you have. And if you see an opportunity, go after it and try it. But when people try to like rig the system, by being little bitches or spreading rumors or just trying to put on a fake face and, essentially lying about yourself. And, when you do that, eventually it's going to come back and, it's not going to end good. It's not going to end good for you. I truly believe with all my, like this podcast, I got tens and tens of listeners. That's fantastic. That's fantastic. If I wanted, I don't necessarily want to have millions of listeners. I like the tens and tens. I really do. I like you all. You're good people. But if something were to happen and all of a sudden like thousands and thousands of people start listening, then that is what it is. But I'm not going to go and try to like force it, if you will. Which kind of could be a bad example because, if you're in business, you do gotta force it. I don't know. Now maybe I'm talking out of my asshole, but I really do think that you should take those words of advice. Do the best you can. And then everything else will just... Here's a perfect example. Here's a perfect example. We have some neighbors, and and in our neighborhood, we have a lot of like older people in our neighborhood, which is nothing wrong with that. But if you are listening and you know who I am, I would say 5-6 years we should have a lot of houses up for sale. So, if you're looking, my neighborhood will be, there'll be a lot of for sale signs here in a couple years. But anyway, there's one other couple that live kitty corner from us who's a younger couple. And they're like the only young couple on the block. Now there's a couple more that we're talking to. But I remember I was trying to like extend an olive branch, right? Like, hi, introduce yourselves, and then and then we invited them over, and it didn't work out. And then we invited them over one more time, and it didn't work out, and then it's kind of like, you know what? Maybe it just wasn't meant to be, and for me personally, because I'm a big neighbor friend person, I want to be friends with all my neighbors. And that's what kind of sucks where we live. We're not really friends with, my wife is friends with another couple down the street, but we're not really friends with anybody. And I always hear these stories about people and their neighbors, and they're always having fun, and they're partying, they're having bonfires, and and then it all circles back to the FOMO in me. People are having fun, and I'm not, and I'm missing out on it. And it's pissing me off. So, if you have any advice on how I can deal with my FOMOality, please let me know, because I'm trying to take my own advice by just like going with the flow. Don't fight the river. That was one of my sayings I always had. A guy in college once said that. He's like a pothead in college, I remember. And he said, I was like, yeah, man, go with the flow. And he's like, yeah, dude, don't fight the river. I thought that was the coolest thing I ever heard in my life. It's like, don't fight the river. That's such a cool saying. And then I even wrote a song called Don't Fight the River. This was back when I was in my songwriting stage, back when I wanted to be a rock star, and before I wanted to be an actor, and then I wanted to be an actor, and then I was like, oh, I'll be a comedian, and then now it's like, oh, I'll be a podcaster. It's like, just fear of missing out is just, I just would like to settle and just, but anyway, if you got ideas, oh my God, I can't, I literally, here's the deal. I talked literally 38 minutes about nothing, not a thing. Fear of missing out is what I talked about. I talked a little bit about the draft, but I really do truly think I had some nuggets, some gold nuggets in there. And I hope you, if you're, suffering from FOMO, just do your best, go with the flow, treat people how you would like to be treated. That's another thing I learned in life. There's this weird, and I don't know why human beings think like this, but there's this weird, like meeting people is weird. And there was this person that I introduced myself to, and for some odd reason, I just thought to myself, like, they're not going to like this. They're not going to, they're not, because we've seen each other before. And then it was just kind of the timing was right. And I just said, hey, I'm J-Kenn. I'm a host of a mediocre podcast. I did not say that. But they said, but all of a sudden they just had this big smile on their face. Like, oh, hi, I'm so-and-so, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, I think people have this idea that people don't want, like they're just like, don't want to be bothered. But really, it's that golden rule. Treat other people like you would want to be treated. It really does, like, people want you to say hi to them. I mean, you hear about the people that don't. So then you think, oh, everybody's like that. But that's not the case. People want to be said hi to. I don't, people are generally nice people. So, those are my rules of life. And I had none of that written down on this piece of paper. I was going to talk about Quick Trip, and I did not even talk about their barbecue pork sandwiches at all. But instead, I talked about FOMOism and how you can beat it. And basically, it is, here's number one: do your best. Okay, whatever you do in life, whatever it is, just do your best. Do your best. Do your best. Do your best. Give it your all. Leave it all out on the court. Just do your best. Then, after you do your best, don't fight the river. Okay? What does that mean? That means you do your best with what you have. You give it your all. And then you just go with the flow. Don't fight the river. Don't fight it. Don't try to manipulate. Don't try to lie. Don't backstab. Don't spread false narratives. Just go with it. And then number 3, and this is guaranteed. Now, this might be hard for some people to listen to because sometimes some really bad shit's happening. And now we're getting deep here, but literally everything happens for a reason. Everything in this world happens for a reason. Now, I'm sure that is rubbing a lot of you guys the wrong way, maybe, but literally think about it. Like, legitimately think about it. Think about, like, I don't know. There's all sorts of stories, where someone, oh, sorry, I hit the mic here. You would think after 49 episodes I would be better. Well, you know what? To be honest with you, that's the first time in 49 episodes I ever hit that fucking mic. It is the first time. So I apologize for nothing. Okay? I apologize for nothing. But you hear about the stories all the time, like where someone, well, there was like this story where this kid saved his sister from this pit bull or whatever, and he got his face all mauled up, and I guess that's not really a good one. I don't know. I guess I don't. But I'm just saying, like, everything kind of has a reason. Sometimes it's hard to find, but the reason, I believe it's there. So do your best. Don't fight the river, and then just because everything has, don't manipulate shit, because everything has there's an equilibrium. It's just like on Caddyshack, right? There's a force out there, Danny. No. Right? Just go with the flow. Don't fight the river. Don't fight the river. I want everyone to start saying that. Crocs over mock. No, sorry. Mocks over Crocs. And don't fight the river. Windows down, radio up. Don't fight. Dude, driving on the road, right? You did the best you could at work today. You're driving down the road, sun is shining, windows down, radio up, and you are not fighting the river. Can you think of a better end to your day than that? You put in an honest day's work, and now you're just driving down the road, windows down, radio up, and you are not fighting the river. You can't, you know what I mean? And you know what? Your buddy Jake and Sam are at the bar, and the bartender just got up on stage and flashed everybody, and you missed it. Wasn't meant to be, man. Right? It wasn't meant to be. That's what you got to tell yourself. Wasn't meant to be. So you're welcome. You're welcome for... Nope, wrong one. Yes, thank you. Life advice. The name of this episode is going to be called FOMO. And no, I'm just going to call it FOMO. I'll get the listeners. That's some good clickbait. Oh, shit. Broke my pen. Meant to be. It was meant to be. It was meant to be. I'm not supposed to take any more notes. So, it's meant to be. All right, messages. What do we got out there? It's a Monday night. I'm recording this, and I'm supposed to be upstairs watching Monday Night Raw, but can't do it. Can't do it. Where in a Sam Hella is my messengers? Sorry about this, everybody. God damn it. Katy Perry. So what's up with Katy Perry? She just popped up on my Facebook here. Everyone's ripping on her or something because she went to space. But I guess she wasn't even in space that long or something like that. I don't know. I don't know, man. I don't know much about Katy Perry. I also don't know how to find my freaking messenger. Where is it? Here we go. Ordinary Average Guy. We got 2 messages here. Okay. We got a message from Hen baby. Message. Just finished listening to your episode about the family trip to Florida. Ooh, you're a little behind there, Hen. A little behind. Reminded me an episode of Cheers where Cliff goes to Florida and comes back and wants to tell everyone about it. And no one wants to hear about it, about his stupid, boring trip. He goes on to say, you are Cliff. The 10s and 10s are everyone in the bar. Yeah. Well, sorry, man. Cheers. How many podcasts? Actually, I just saw a clip the other day where they were talking about Cheers, and they were talking about Norm's bar tab, and they figured it out. They did the math on Norm's bar tab, and it was whatever. It was pretty funny. Here we got our friend Christmas Kate. Christmas Kate. Oh, it's always a pleasure when Christmas Kate sends us an email, especially when it's not even. I mean, it's Easter. The arch nemesis of Christmas. The 2 holidays that are fighting for number 1 Christian holiday. But Christmas Kate is still sending in emails thinking about Christmas Kate. Dear Mr. J-Kenn, someone tried sending you an email and it either didn't go through or maybe it went to your junk mail. I'm just passing that along for her. Deeply apologize. But she took the email that I missed out on and she has it here. So this message is from Jules. She goes on to say, oh yeah, this is from April 13th. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know where the hell. It says right here, to J-Kenn@outlook.com. So sorry about that. Not in my inbox. I swear to God. She goes on to say, hey, average, ordinary guy. Okay, so first of all, it's ordinary average guy. That's the show. So we'll fix this. Hey, ordinary average guy. Heard your podcast about Big Bird, and I must say, I couldn't agree with you more. Amen, sister. Sesame Street started in 1969 when I was 9 years old. Big Bird was the star. I remember it was back in 1989 he was the star. And then all of a sudden Elmo comes skipping in there and we didn't see much of Big Bird anymore. I, like you, say, what the hell? He certainly got the shaft, and I, for the life of me, can't figure it out. Nothing, and for sure, no Elmo can replace our beloved Big Bird. It's insanity, to say the least. We want Big Bird back, and we want it now. Big Bird all the way. Let's go for the bird. Sincerely, Jules. Amen, sister. No, God. No. Yes. Amen. Let's hear it for Big Bird. Okay. Crocs over mocks. Don't fight the river. Windows down, radio up, and let's go for the bird. Okay? I want to hear this stuff coming out of your mouths. If you're the tens and tens, I would write these down, but my pen broke. Okay, so that was that. Now we go back to Christmas Kate. She has more in her original email. On that note, okay, so she's talking now. On that note, I also think Elmo is a poser. Those are some fighting words, Christmas Kate. Holy shit. Growing up, Bert and Ernie ran that. Ooh, whoa. Growing up, Bert and Ernie ran that show, not Elmo. I don't even know if he lived on that street at that time. And if he didn't, where did he come from? I think there are some serious questions we should be asking about that little red devil. He is a little red devil. I'm Elmo. But anyways, thanks for playing Pop. I appreciate it, as I'm sure many other of your listeners did too, smiley face. Off-topic question for you that seems to be pretty divisive. Debate with people I know, buttercream or whipped frosting? Sincerely, Christmas Kate. Buttercream or whipped frosting? Buttercream or whipped frosting? I am going to go... I want buttercream. I'm going to go buttercream frosting for sure. Yeah, without a doubt. Now, I'm not going to lie to you. I am I'm trying to make sure that it's what I'm thinking of it is. Yeah, without a doubt, buttercream is my deal. That's as a matter of fact, whipped frosting, I wouldn't even take a piece of the cake. I wouldn't do it. I need buttercream. So, yeah, whipped frosting sucks. All right, let's see if we got any emails here. I don't know. So I'm 37 years old, and I don't know what it is. I feel like I am, no offense to old men, but I feel like I just something happened to me, and this technology is what? Email? What is a mail on the phone? I don't know why. I'm having the hardest time figuring this shit out. At work the other day, I needed IT to help me to make a homepage. When I go on Google Chrome or whatever, it wasn't going to Google Chrome, it was going to some other web page, and I'm like, how do you fix this? I had no idea how to do it. And I remember doing it in my young days. It was easy. I swear to God, there was usually a button. You just press to make this homepage, and you would make your homepage. And now it's where is the thing? And I had to do a IT desk ticket, and the person had to jump on my computer to help me figure it out. And I don't know, man. I just feel like I'm 100 years old when it comes to technology recently. I just don't get it. I don't know. Whatever. It is what it is. It is what it is. We got, okay, the sauce is coming in here. The sauce is coming in hot here. What does he got to say here? Good morning, Mr. J-Kenn. Lil Wayne did not do the rock version of Lollipop. That was performed by a little rock band called Framing Hanley. Okay, Sauce. I know what you're talking about. I do believe, yes. But Lil Wayne came out with a rock record. I swear to God he did. Lil Wayne rock album. Rebirth. And I swear to God, does Lil Wayne have a rock album? Rebirth was promoted as Wayne's rock music debut, though it includes some hip-hop tracks. And I swear to God, he did that song on there. Singles, Drop the World. Oh, that Drop the World song. I remember that song. That was pretty cool. I thought he did it. American Star, Prom Queen, Ground Zero, Parrot, Get a Life, On Fire, Drop the World. That's a cool song. I remember it. The Price is Wrong. I'm so, dude. You're right. Okay, my bad. I swear to God, I thought he did a cover of his own song, but he didn't. Man, my bad. So sorry. Apologize. A true man can admit when he's wrong. A true man can admit when he's wrong. Also, have you ever looked up the lyrics? No, I never have. I don't think it's Lil Wayne with the lollipop in his mouth. Okay, with that out of the way, on to the wrestling. Oh, okay. So I'm going to read this email because it's about wrestling. I'm going to answer it. I'm going to be honest with you guys. I've been getting some heat on talking a lot of wrestling here lately, and it's kind of bumming me out. I've had 2 people already, and when you only got tens and tens of listeners, 2 out of tens and tens is a good percentage amount. And they're like, you got to stop so much wrestling, blah, blah, blah. But you know what? This is on an email. So I'm going to answer the email. You can ask anything you want on an email. Anything in the world. Anything. And I will answer it. But that being said, I do want to, I'm thinking, I don't know, if I could find a co-host. Now this is a job advertisement. If I can find a legit co-host, okay, that is willing to do a podcast with me, because I wouldn't want to do it by myself, but I would start a new podcast, a wrestling podcast. Now I know there's a shit ton out there, but I got a lot to say. Anyway, I'm done with that. Okay, so real quick here, and I'm not going to go off any tangents or nothing. I'm just going to answer this question. He goes on to say, what is your gimmick Mount Rushmore? Okay, I understand what you're saying. Mine would be Doink the Clown, Papa Shango, The Undertaker, The Boogeyman. They all scared the shit out of me, or at least the Boogeyman and his worms grossed me out. If Bray Wyatt wouldn't have died so young, he would have definitely made my list. Huge fan of the gimmick and his creativity. Yeah, without a doubt. Now for WrestleMania, my favorite match of the whole thing was Night 2's opening match. That triple threat women's match could be the best match I've ever seen. Whoa, okay, huh? All right. It stole the show for me. Interested in what you thought on that. It was a good match. I do remember watching that match and legitimately thinking how much better it was than Gunther versus Jey Uso. And I hate to say it, but it was a fantastic match. Those women knocked it out of the park. It's incredible to see. And I'm not saying this trying to get points with women. All right. I think you all know that I think men are superior. But it is cool to see women kicking ass in the professional wrestling. It really is. I mean, I grew up with, Sunny, it's Sable, and these chicks that, actually, looking back on it, it's like, that was hard to watch for a lot of reasons. But it isn't. These women nowadays are knocking out of the park. And you know what? You're not wrong. That might have been the match of the night for sure. I'm having a brain fart now. He goes on to say, side note, Josh has been talking about getting a lazy boy, so that's one share sold that you will get no kickback from. Sorry, buddy, your friend the sauce. Yeah, exactly. Dude, good call on the lazy boy. So anyway, real quick, the Mount Rushmore of gimmicks. Okay, Undertaker number 1. When it comes to gimmicks, Undertaker's number 1. He's number 1. I mean, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Number 2, I'm going to go Kane. Those 2 gimmicks very easily, if done by anybody else, could have just went wouldn't have worked. I don't know. They wouldn't have worked. The Undertaker, Mark Calloway, that phenomenal. And then Kane, towards the end, I didn't really like the Kane character, but the original Glenn Jacobs, when he was originally Kane, man, that guy, I used to have nightmares of Kane. I would see him like in my window. I was just scared shitless. Another gimmick, Mount Rushmore. I need 4 of them. Another one would be, I'm going with Jake the Snake Roberts. You know, obviously he was a little bit before my time, but I've seen enough of his work to understand how great he was. Fantastic on the mic. Did great promos. I really like the fact that he didn't scream and holler. Like he was kind of like Mark Calloway from The Undertaker studied Jake the Snake Roberts, and you know, the slow and the slithering. And then he had Damien. He had the snake in the, you know, his evil, you know, that was cool. And then the last one, this is kind of I'm going to go with Mick Foley. Because I really thought it was awesome when he was doing the Mankind, Dude Love, Cactus Jack thing. Especially when he was doing all 3 of them at the same time. I just thought that creativity was really out of this world. I really do. So I don't want to talk too much about wrestling because I don't want to talk too much wrestling. So, but if anyone out there wants to be a co-host, I'll do a wrestling podcast. Maybe we do like every other week or something like that. Anyway, on Ordinary Opinion this week. This one's near and dear to my heart, but if you're a person out there who pronounces the H in words, that the H is silent, I'm thinking who, what, where, when. If you're one of those people that says woohoo or where or when. Now, there was a Family Guy skit, I think, when Stewie was talking like that and Brian was getting all pissed off, and I was funny, but I've been listening to this podcast about something totally, you know, because I don't really listen to podcasts, but I've been listening to this one because it's a career thing or whatever. But the guy talks like that, and he's a great speaker. I'm really into it, but then all of a sudden he'll be like, woohoo. And I'm like, oh, he's doing the H thing. If you do that, if you don't need to do it, you need to stop. You need to figure that out. I would much rather have you have a lisp than a person that does the H's in those words. So if you do that, figure it out and stop it. Song of the week. I am going to be going a totally different direction this week. This is a person that I do not listen to usually at all. I don't ever listen to her at all. But I will give her credit. She's an amazing musician. And when I was watching SNL 50 is when I saw it, just when I kind of realizing like, man, this person is incredible. And I know she's a goofball, but she's got a song out now. Actually, it's been out probably for a while. I think it's called Abracadabra by Lady Gaga. Yeah. You know what I mean? Isn't that weird? But the first time I ever gave Lady Gaga even a chance is when she sang with Metallica. And I was like, that's cool. And then she was in that movie with Bradley Cooper. And I was like, oh, that's cool. And then, but I'm not like looking her up or anything like that. And then all of a sudden we're watching SNL 150 and we're watching this song. She's doing this abracadabra. No, she's doing this really weird dance or whatever. The dance is, it's weird. But her, I know this. I'm saying stuff that everyone knows, but her voice is like second. I mean, it's just incredible. And then she gets on the piano and she can really play the ivories. You know what I'm saying? So, if you're in the mood to just listen to just talent, good voice, just good talent, that's a cool song. I think it's cool. Not my usual jam, but I like it. So, Abracadabra, Lady Gaga. All right, everybody. It's been real. 49 episodes in the books. We'll see you next week.